Yes, okay. Thank you, Prabhu. What we will do is let's do the invocation first, and then we will go into today's topics. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama-shloke Bhaktir-bhavati Naishtiki Mukam karoti vachalam pangam lankayate girim Yat-krapa-tamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Okay, Hare Krishna, welcome all. So today we are going to read from the 20th chapter of the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. This chapter is entitled The Conversation Between Maitreya Muni and Vidura. Little bit of background. So far, I mean, in the previous few sessions, we have been discussing wonderful pastimes of Lord Varahadev, right? So we entered Lord Varahade's pastime last week. Last week, we started with this particular topic. Now, the obvious question is by all the Shaunakadi rishis is, what did Vidura now want to hear? What did Vidura ask for from Maitreya Muni? Because Maitreya Muni has been explaining, if you remember all the second canto, there's so much about creation. There's so many things or the different parts of the creation that he's been explaining. And Vidura requested, can we hear some pastimes also? So we went to pastimes. Now, one pastime of the Lord is over. A very nice pastime is over. What more is are we going to hear about the Lord? So Vidura, basically, if you remember the previous class, so Vidura started asking, what about the Manus? How did the Manu come? What happened? How did the lineage continue for Manu? Now, along with this, it just can't be Manu. So who is Manu? Now, how did Swayambhu Manu come into picture? How is it coming from Lord Brahma? So if you remember, we have we have this wonderful shloka that talks about the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. Atra sargo visargascha sthanam poshanamotyaha manvantara ishanukatha nirodha muktirashreyaha. I read this one, it talks about Atra sarga. Sarga is the primary creation and visarga is the secondary creation. We'll go to the other topics anyway. All these 10 topics are covered in Srimad Bhagavatam as we continue to hear. So basically, we saw a lot about creation and a bit of secondary creation in the second canto. Now here, again, the elaboration of secondary creation by Lord Brahma is going to be explained. And so in the first half of this particular chapter, we saw how the different elements are coming into picture, different parts of the elements are coming into picture, and so on. Now we will today continue that conversation. So let me share my screen. Let's see what's there. And then we can also take it up as to what all we'll see today. It's a long chapter, so we'll try to finish off the second half. I'm just looking for the right document. Okay. So I'm just sharing from Bhagavad Shubhodhini here. So if you see in the first part, Shaunakadi rishis are questioning, and as they question, the obvious glorification of the personalities involved, the persons who are ready to hear the Hari Katha, they are glorified. Every time Arjuna asks a question in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is very happy like that. Whenever there are Vaishnavas throughout Bhagavatam, you'll actually see the glorification of the person who is speaking and also the glorification of the person who is very eagerly hearing about the Bhagavad Gita. That happens. Then it talks about the reality of evolution, not the theory of evolution, but the reality, how the different creatures come into picture. Okay, so with great difficulty, we have the theory of evolution that is proposed, saying that, we had single-celled organisms, multi-celled organisms, and then it became aquatics, then the animals that could live both on land and water, amphibians, then the four-legged animals and so on, right? So, and then it says that now that human beings are born, we are ultimate. The theory doesn't know how to continue itself, right? So it's stuck somewhere. But here we have the evolution that's being discussed about how the different kinds of beings are born. Okay, so I'll talk about some of my understandings from these. But anyways, we'll continue with this. So the Prajapatis are the people who are born out of Brahma to create further progeny. It speaks about them. Then we also saw about the 23 elements and how the universal egg or the Brahmanda is working. So these are all parts of the Sarga or the primary creation. Maitreya Muni again summarizes these things. Elaboration of this we have already seen in the second canto. Some part of it and beyond we will see in the fifth canto as well. We'll see some of it in the third canto. Now, moving on. So today, I'll probably quickly take up some of this. I know we would have covered some shlokas from this, but there is a flow to it. So I'll try to cover it. This is the Visarga part or the secondary creation or the creation of Brahma. That's there. So we will start from shloka 19 onwards. There are some shlokas we'll spend some time on. Otherwise, we'll try to cover all the way till 53. So 30 plus shlokas. So you will see that we can go at a certain good speed. Okay, let's go into the Bhagavatam. So the Prajapatis are created, the creations are done. Now, Brahmaji, whenever he creates, so you will see an explanation when as we go further. Out of disgust, Brahma threw off the body of ignorance and taking this opportunity, Yakshas and Rakshasas sprang for possession of the body, which continue to exist in the form of night. Night is a source of hunger and thirst. So we might have seen this in the previous class, so I'll not go into too much detail. Basically, the ignorant part of Brahmaji's body. Here, what does the body mean? So Brahmaji's body is predominantly made of intelligence. So he's not throwing away his physical body like what we see. He's throwing away the mindset of that body that is made out of ignorance. Every time he creates something, he is in a certain mood and then certain mode of nature, and he has to let go of that so that he can continue to create something better. We will see this actually coming up later in Srila Prabhupada's purpose. So we can elaborate on that when we actually go there. Okay, so Yakshas and Rakshasas, predominantly they are in the mode of ignorance, enjoying the night. And we obviously know a lot of examples that we have today wherein people love to enjoy the nightlife. How is your nightlife going? Right? So where are they, which form of body they get is different from what is their mindset. They are from the Rakshasa kind of a piece. So here Srila Prabhupada actually explains how Yakshas and Rakshasas are very they love feasting on the bodies of humans. So he actually mentions overpowered by hunger and thirst, they ran to devour Brahma from all sides and cried, spare him not, eat him up, right? So the representative Yakshas and Rakshasas still continue to exist in some countries of the world. It is understood that such uncivilized men take pleasure in killing their own grandfathers and holding a love feast by roasting the bodies. Srila Prabhupada writes this, so you can understand there are still such uncivilized men, the aborigines. In fact, if you look at some of the countries today, for example, Korea, they actually sell the fetus of a baby in a canned box, and people love to cook and eat. Fetus, the womb, from the womb of the mother, the child's body is preserved in cans, frozen food. They cook and eat it. Not very common, but there are people like this. And they are basically very rakshasic in their mentality. Unfortunately, it's popular, it's made popular, and newer people get attracted to such things. Feasting on someone else's body. Brahma, the head of the demigods, full of anxiety, asked them, "Do not eat me, but protect me. You are born from me and you have become my sons. Therefore, you are Yakshas and Rakshasas." Here some details are given about Yakshas and Rakshasas in the purport, but basically they ended up not eating Lord Brahma. In some way, they Yakshas, if you know, these names are used quite often. Yakshas and Rakshasas, they are from ideally from higher planetary systems. They support the demigods in certain ways. They are possessions of some certain powers, and they help in the entire creation. Now it is like people who are in the jail, given certain responsibility by the jailer, right? So when there is some kind of a disturbance in the jail, they can shift their loyalties from being with the jailer to being with the prisoners, because they are by mentality they are prisoners. Like that, we have these people who are serving Brahma, but if there is any asuric activity that's happening, they can shift their loyalties and fight against when Lord Brahma. Okay, this is from the mode of ignorance. So we'll continue. He then created the chief demigods who were shining with the glory of goodness. He dropped before them the effulgent form of daytime, and the demigods sportingly took possession of it. So demigods, the next set of beings that Lord Brahma created, but this time mostly in the mode of goodness, the shining glory of goodness, as it says. So these people are in the mode of goodness and a bit of passion, because they have the facility to use their passion. Unlike the Rakshasas, who are mostly in the quality of ignorance, the demigods are highly in the quality of goodness. So their services and their loyalties towards Brahmaji is a lot higher. So let's continue. Brahma then gave birth to the demons from his buttocks, and they were very fond of sex. Because they were too lustful, they approached him for copulation. So the demons are born. They are from the back of Lord Brahma, and these are the people who are very attracted to Kama. Now, a very simple thing, like asuras are fascinated by the mode of Kama or lust or sex. As soon as they were born, they started chasing Lord Brahma himself. It sounds very funny, right? So as soon as this happened, when they started chasing Brahma, the first thing he started laughing. The worshipful Brahma first laughed at their stupidity. But finding the shameless asuras close upon him, he grew indigent and ran in haste, great haste out of fear. So, sexually inclined people, when people are highly addicted by this mode of karma, they are not able to control themselves. There's a little more explanation that comes for this karma further as we see creation going further. So we'll talk about it as we go there. Basically, here we'll see there are people created. There are creatures created out of Lord Brahma who Brahma himself is very not comfortable. Right? So he's ashamed of, and he ran in great haste. Where did he go? So very important shloka. From here, today's discussion actually starts. So upavlajya varadam prapannarti haram harim anugrahaya bhaktanam anurupatma darshanam. Translations and purports by Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He approached the personality of Godhead who bestows all boons and who dispels the agony of his devotees and of those who take shelter of his lotus feet. He manifests his innumerable transcendental forms for the satisfaction of his devotees. Here the word Bhaktanam Anurupatma Darshanam means the personality of Godhead manifests his multi-forms according to the desires of the devotees. For example, Hanumanji or Vajrangaji wanted to see the form of Lord as the personality of Godhead, Ramachandra, whereas other Vaishnavas want to see the form of Radha and Krishna, and still other devotees want to see the Lord in the form of Lakshmi Narayana, and so on. The Mayavadi philosophers think that although all these forms are assumed by the Lord, just as the devotee desires to see him. Actually, he is impersonal. Okay. So from the Brahma Samhita, we do understand the Lord. So let's understand a few things about him. Okay. First thing, Brahmaji, when he's in trouble, he knows where exactly to go. He goes to his father. He goes to his creator. He goes to the Supreme Lord. The Lord, in the very first word of this purport, or if you see the last line of the shloka, it's a Bhaktanam Anurupatma Darshanam. Bhaktas or the devotees have a certain desire to see the Lord in a certain form. And based on that, the Lord actually manifests that form. Okay. So devotees have a great desire. There's a very nice story that's there, popularly told by the Sri Vaishnavas. I don't have too many details around the uh, exact incident and the reference books, but you can refer back to some of the Sri Vaishnavas. They might be able to tell. But for us, what does it take? There was a very nice Brahmana couple. The Brahmana's work was he was actually writing poetry. He would write some katha about the Lord. And one day he wrote a very nice piece of instruction in the evening. He was writing about the Lord. He actually enjoyed the dress of the Lord. He was writing and he said, the Lord comes in this particular dress and he carries these kind of weapons, and the Lord's name is so and so. Not a common name of the Lord. He is writing about, this is just an example, I don't know the exact one. So the Lord today is wearing a red colored dress and he is carrying a sword as his weapon. And today, because of this, the red chain and the garland of rubies that the Lord is wearing, he's going to be called the Ratnangi Lord. Right? Ratnangi is basically the Lord of rubies, the dress of ruby, right? The Lord is wearing. He writes this in the night and then he folds his book, he keeps it and he sleeps off. Next day morning, when they wake up early in the morning, there is knock on the door. And the Brahmana and his wife, they actually open the door, and there are the soldiers of the king. They say that, you know what? The Ratnangi Lord is waiting for you to come and give him your darshana, give him arti, do worship for him. He's very surprised. He's like, what? This particular name for the Lord I gave last night. And after I gave that name, I didn't even discuss with my own wife. So there's no way anyone else will know. And the soldiers say, no, 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 the king has asked us to personally get you to the kingdom. And so they take him to the king, and the king says, oh, you know what? The Lord came in my dream last night and said, from today I will be called Ratnangi Lord. Lord of Ratnangi. I don't know the exact name. I can refer back, but so this will be the name for me from today onwards. Ask this particular Brahmana to come and do worship for me today. From today, this is my name. No, when the devotee is very nicely, lovingly offers something to the Lord accepts it. He, even the name that you gave, he's ready to take it. The form that you want him to be there with you, he accepts that kind of a form. And for that, you need to become very, 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 very close to the Lord, right? So it's not normal. It's not just that, oh, today I will give the Lord this Valentine's Day name. No, that's not the case. So it should be very dear to the Lord. The Lord accepts it. Right. So for example, Hanumanji here, right? So one time when Hanumanji was sitting and meditating, Gaurji, and on top of Gaurji, Lord Vishnu, they were going around. And they saw Hanumanji sitting in a very nice meditative pose. He's obviously meditating on the Lord. So they go there, they go near him, and as soon as they go near him, Hanumanji pays obeisance. He pays with all respect, and he continues his meditation. Garuji is very surprised. He says, Arey, personally, my lord, you have come, and he's just paying, he's just doing namaskar, but he's not showing any other reaction. So the Lord laughs at Garuji and says, you know what? Go to him and tell him, I have come. But this time tell him, I have come as Lord Ramchandra. So Garuji goes, only Garuji goes, the Lord gets off from Garuji. So he goes to Hanumanji and he tells, oh my dear Hanumanji, you know what? The Supreme Lord has come here Lord Ramchandra is here. Hanumanji immediately jumps from his meditative position, rushes to the Lord and pays obeisances to the Lord. Garuji understood it's the same Lord, but the Lord, when he manifests something that's very dear to the devotee, the devotee loves it. And because the devotee relishes that mood, the Lord loves it even more. That's the transcendental relationship that we have with the Lord. Whenever we serve the Lord, we always say that, okay, right? I should not have any other desire, but I should do it out of love for the satisfaction of the Lord. I should not have any other side desire. When the pure devotees serve the Lord enjoys it. When the Lord enjoys that service, the devotee enjoys the service even more, enjoys doing that service even more. And because this service is being done with a lot of enthusiasm, lot of enjoyment, the Lord enjoys it even more. Because the Lord enjoys it more, the devotee enjoys it more. So you can understand. So there is no limit to the bliss that you can get in serving the Lord. Okay, here we are talking about how the Lord actually enjoys when Lord Brahmaji actually now has come to the Lord, but he's come in a lot of pain. He's saying, you know what, my dear Lord, I am stuck here. I have created these beings and they have turned against me. Lord Brahma, approaching the Lord, addressed him thus: my Lord, please protect me from these sinful demons who were created by me under your order. They are infuriated by an appetite for sex and have come to attack me. Okay, first thing, everyone, including Lord Brahma, does everything under the order of the Lord, under the guidance, under the direction, and under the order of the Supreme Lord. Okay, we need to be very, very clear. Who is the creator? The original creator is the Supreme Lord. Under his guidance, there are appointed people who are actually doing all the parts of the creation. Okay, the second part here, where Srila Prabhupada also elaborates a little bit, is about the homosexuality, which is becoming very, very popular of late. I think the way the society is going, it's very funny. So Brahmaji creates men, and the men want to have sex with each other or sex with even Lord Brahma. Okay, and we have everything in Srimad Bhagavatam, including these topics which are a bit of a taboo in the Indian society, but they're very common across the world these days. It's even catching up in India. In fact, for some of us who probably work in the corporate multinational companies, there are special trainings that are given how to accommodate these people among you, do not differentiate and all that. Fair enough. The society is just saying that if you want to be so, be like this. Someone actually asked this question very, very, very recently to my Guru Maharaj, and the answer was very simple, saying that, you know what, the so-called idea of sex is for procreation. Any other idea of enjoying sex is actually foreign. Do we accept homosexuality in Krishna consciousness? That's not even a question that needs to exist. Right? So when Lord says, I am that sex desire that is following dharma, right? So he tells this when he talks about his different opulences, right? So in Bhagavad Gita, you will actually see this. So there is an approved and there is an inapproved format. And we should know what is the right one, right? So this is basically the whole idea of homosexuality is very demoniac in nature. Okay. Very fortunately, under the protection of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even people are inimical actually, they come into the shelter of the Lord. Actually, see that further as we go on. My Lord, you're the only one capable of ending the affliction of the distress and inflicting agony on those who never resort to your feet. So if you see here, there are two kinds of people. The one, the Lord gives protection to anyone who has taken shelter of him. This is very, very clear, right? My dear Arjuna, please boldly declare that anyone who has taken shelter of me, they have no fear. Correct? The other kind of people are the demoniac people. So if you see, the second is to give trouble to those always demoniac and who are inimical towards the Lord. Right? The people who actually hate the Lord. So there is trouble, and how is the trouble given? That is given through Maya's existence. Okay, this is the normal scenario. But we are not in the normal scenario, right? We are in the extremely merciful scenario. Thanks to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even to the most fallen, demoniac kind of people like me, we have got the mercy of the entire parampara holding us. Right? I mean, the Lord not just gives protection, gives His mercy because we are not ready to take this protection of the Lord. We are trying to push away the protection, and still the Lord is showering His mercy. We keep hearing of the katha. So yesterday was Srila Advaita Acharya's appearance day. We had discussions around it when we talk about Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam. Right, so we actually tell how this entire Panchatattva is so mercifully coming to us. We talk about how Nityanand Prabhu showed mercy on Jagai and Madai. And we should say that, oh, I was like Jagai and Madai. I should not continue to be like that. Like whenever we hear these stories of how the Lord is so merciful, how the Panchatattva is so merciful, how Srila Prabhupada is so merciful, how our Guru Maharaj and our Guru Parampara is so merciful, we should understand that the mercy is flowing. Let's take it. Let's not continue to be demoniac saying that, oh, mercy is coming. Let me continue to do all the fallen things. Right? So the Lord is merciful and He gives certain instructions. In this case, He's instructing Lord Brahma, saying that the Lord who can distinctly see the mind of others perceived Brahma's distress and said to him, cast off this impure body of yours. Thus commanded by Brahma, commanded by the Lord, Brahma cast off his body. So if you see here, first thing, the Lord can see the mind of others. Again, these are smaller but very important piece, right? So as Paramatma, the Lord is sitting in our body. Sarvasicham Hridi Sanivishto Mata Smritir Jnanabapohanancha. Right? So as Paramatma, He is in everyone's heart, right? And He understands what's going on with us. Right, so externally we might appear very bright, attending Mangalarti early in the morning, wearing a very nice dress, nice tilak, always smiling with a chanting bag in your hand. But if your heart is, like they say, kolto girodu, it's very, it's actually spoiled beyond normal. That you are not remembering the Lord, but you are pretending to be a devotee. Right, so the Lord understands. Our Guru Parampara understands, but still they shower the mercy. The Lord says, you're doing very nicely. Continue. And over a period of time, our anarthas will start going away. Now, this is what I actually mentioned. According to Sridhar Swami, Brahma's constant dropping of his body does not refer to his actually giving up his body. Rather, he suggests that Brahma give up the particular mentality. Mind is the subtle body of the living entity. So we understand. So beyond the body, we have the mind, intelligence, and ego. And that mind, which has got all these concoctions, Brahmaji is being asked to drop it off so that he gets to a better position. And whenever something is dropped off, someone else picks up. So here, there are some more elaborations. This purport is very nice. So I want to touch upon a few things here. So basically, let's pause for a minute. Let's understand what's happening here, right? So Lord Brahmaji created his sons, and these sons are not very conducive to Lord Brahmaji's work. Right? So whatever Brahmaji wanted, these people are very asuric by nature. So Lord Brahmaji takes the shelter of the Lord. And the Lord tells him, okay, give up this mind, give up this mentality, and you can continue. Now, what is my takeaway here, right? So first thing, Srila Prabhupada in the purport elaborates. Again, we can't do enough justice to all of Srila Prabhupada's purport when we are doing so many shlokas together. So please go back and read it. And Srila Prabhupada here mentions that, look, we all are part of this extended creation, right? We are also in some form helping with the creation. So what is our responsibility? So there are a good amount of samskaras that are mentioned in the spiritual scriptures, right? So there are at least 40 samskaras per minimum, but there are very important about 10 samskaras, starting all the way from Garbhadan samskara, right? Before the child is born, in fact, before right after marriage, before even the lady gets pregnant, the samskaras start there. How we are requesting, praying to the Supreme Lord, praying to the Parampara, praying to the elders on what will be the progeny that will eventually come in. So at every step, every samskara that we do, all the way till the Shada ceremony that happens at the end of that person's life after the person gives up his body. It could be Garbhadam Samskara. Then after the child is born, there is Namkaran Samskara, the name giving Samskara, the Mundan Samskar. There is ear piercing, there is Annaprasan, there is Aksharabhyas, right? So there is marriage Samskar for ladies, there is a Samskar in between. Then there is samskara during the marriage yajna and so on. So these are predominantly all the way, right? When the body is given up, then there is the Shada ceremony. These are the 10 samskaras that you know. So we should understand where are we, what is it that we are passing on to the next generation. Many times in the name of passion, we do not pass it on in the right way, right? We should be very careful with these samskaras because these are very, very important so that we get the right kind of progeny and we get the right kind of people continuing. It's our responsibility towards the next generation, right? So there is a bit of an elaboration on this Garbhadan Samskar itself. So, I mean, in simple, if we speak, if the husband and wife are, um, uh, uh, wanting a child, if they do a Garbhadan Samskar, they take the blessings of the entire parampara, chant 50 rounds that day each, their mood will not be extremely passionate, but they will be connected towards the Lord. And so the right kind of soul will enter into the womb of the mother. Right from there, we have a responsibility. If things are done in a very passionate mood, then the children will also be extremely demoniac. And this is not only in the Garbhadan Samskar. I mean, we were recently in my son's school for some parent teachers meeting, and one of the teachers actually was telling us today the children are very difficult to control. You know, they talk against the teachers. They use so much social media. It's very difficult and so on. Arey, the parents are complaining to the teacher saying that my children are not able to stop using mobile phones or stop watching TV or laptops. They know more than us. They are using everything, and they are in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th class. They are not even pretty old children, and the teachers are also complaining. The point is very simple. If the parents, the father and the mother, they are on mobile phone full day, they are watching different things on TV and laptops, and what is it that they will teach the children? The child will automatically go there, right? So it is very simple. If we engage in the holy name of the Lord, the child will also get encouraged to engage in the holy name. And if we are on mobile phones and TVs and laptops and we are watching crickets and latest whatever music shows and movies and politics and all that, and this Krishna Katha is, that little element in our life. Array, Japa karna, I have a commitment of doing my 16 rounds. I will do it, hang it over, and then I behave just like a normal person in the society. My son or the daughter will also learn the same thing. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. Array, I gave them association. What association? That Sunday to Sunday association you've given. But full day, the association that you're giving us, they are watching you and me. They are watching us. They are seeing how we are behaving. We are going to office parties. We are doing all sorts of nonsense. They will learn from us, and their exposure and their learning is a lot quicker. Be our asuras by mentality. Don't expect our children to be very, very, very different. Right? So here, Brahmaji had some Asuric mentality, so he's created the Asuras. He is struggling because his children are not very nice. Let's continue. The body given up by Brahma took the form of the evening twilight. when the day and night meet, a time which kindles passion. The Asuras, who are passionate by nature, dominated as they are by the element of Rajas, took it for a damsel, whose lotus feet resounded with the twinkling of anvils, whose eyes were wide with intoxication, and whose hips were covered by fine cloth, over which shone a cradle. Okay, here, the next set of shlokas, in fact, a few shlokas here will actually talk about how, these demons act in front of a lady, right? So, this throwing away of this Brahmaji's body is now what we can see as the evening twilight, the setting of the sun, right? That's the time when the day meets the night, right? So the twilight area, we discussed about it when during the birth of Hiranyaksha, Diti Kashyapa, that story, how Jaya Vijaya were cursed, and why the Diti at that time was very passionate and so on, right? So there was a bit of an explanation to it. Okay, so this is the time. And who these asuras, what are they seeing? They're seeing this beautiful lady. This twilight is for them a beautiful lady. The birds are going around. That's like the uh, twinkling sound of the anklets, right? So the and the feet of the lady making those bell sounds. Okay, and there's nice explanation given in multiple places. I'll probably quickly cover it. Like, for example, the orangish color looks like the reddish orange color looks like the dress of the lady, the beautiful dress of the lady. The clouds are somewhere the lady is hiding and coming and so on. So these are the different things that they are actually seeing. And what happens? The passion gets kicked off, like Srila Prabhupada actually mentions in this purport. Yeah, like early morning is the time for spiritual activities, evening is the time for passionate activities. People become very enthused. For a devotee, early morning is a very joyous time, right? So we ideally should love to wake up in the morning and chant our rounds and do Mangalarti, do Guru Puja and all that. And similarly, the passionate people, they get very enthused by the time the evening sets in, right? So night parties and let's go out here, let's watch a movie tonight. How about a date tonight? Everything starts tonight to evening, to the evening. What is the plan, right? So that is a normal Asuric mentality. So they're seeing the different parts of this evening as the lady. So her breast projected upwards because of their clinging to each other, and they were too contagious to admit any intervening space. She had a shapely nose and beautiful teeth, a lovely smile playing on her lips, and she cast a sportful glance at the asuras. Adorned with dark tresses, she hid herself as it were, out of shyness. Upon seeing that girl, the asuras were all infatuated with an appetite for sex. This sex or this karma is one of the most difficult things to give up, right? So, and where does it sit? Very important to know. This is in the eyes of the looker, not in that object itself. Okay, difficult to understand, but here you can see it's the twilight time. It's not anything else, but the asuras are seeing it as a beautiful girl. When there's a nice looking woman passing by, how a little child looks at the woman versus how a yuvaka looks at the woman, they are different, right? So it's in the eyes of the person who looks at it, it's not necessarily in that object. This is how a devotee, when he looks at an object, he's able to control himself out of this desires. There was a reporter who asked Srila Prabhupada, he said, everyone is praying to you, garlanding you, paying full obeisances to you. Are you God? Or what is it that you have that is so different that I don't have? Why are they not, why will they not treat me the same way? And Srila Prabhupada replies back saying that when a beautiful woman passes, I don't have any wrong intentions. When you can stop it, you would also become very, very great. So that's the end of it. That's the end of the statement. So we heard about these things many, many times, saying that it's a very difficult thing to give up. And it's in both cases, right? It's not only the men who have the problem. For women also, women have a lesser problem compared to men, because women can emotionally get attached to something and stay to it. Men have this problem that they are attracted to the feminine form itself. Okay, so let's move on. So this the whole episode of karma is something that we need to be very, very careful. It is in me, not in that object. If we are clear on that, then we will stop complaining, saying that, oh, why is this person wearing so and so dress, or why should they actually promote this thing in the movie? And yeah, they are doing it wrong. They also want to instigate in you, but you can control. I've seen how some of our IYF boys, the youth boys, they get trained. I mean, so wonderfully get trained in the association of the boys, because that's an age when it's very difficult to control, because the exposure is so high. Everything is new when it comes to a man and woman relationship, and the training happens so very nicely. They are beaten basically. Some of the classes that you attend, like, oh wow, they actually beat these guys up. Anyways, so the demons, we should appreciate such devotees, such teachers for those devotees. It takes a lot of achar, and then the prachar that happens. You need to first follow. Saffron is not something very easy. Anyway, the demons praised her. Oh, what a beauty! What rare self-control! What a budding youth in the midst of us all who are passionately longing for her. She is moving about like one absolutely free from passion. Okay, like a devotee should glorify the Lord. Here you will see the asuras glorify the worldly beauty, which is very, very common these days. All the songs that are written, we are talking 2 days from what we call as the Valentine's Day, and you would have seen so many. You would have heard, at least. I'm hoping not many of you get involved. So many new songs. Contest that off is wherein you will write something about Valentine's Day, about your loved one, and so on. So people, Maya is widespread, saying that, you know what, if you want, I'm here. Indulging in various speculations about the evening twilight, which appeared to them endowed with the form of a young woman, the wicked-minded asuras treated her with respect and fondly spoke to her as follows. Who are you, O pretty girl? Whose wife or daughter are you, and what can be the object of your appearing before us? Why do you tantalize us, unfortunate as we are, with the priceless commodity of your beauty? This is exactly how we fall into the opposite sex. Man actually falls into the hands of a woman, saying that, hey, you know what, you're so beautiful, I can't live without you. All these kind of things come here. Okay, sometimes people think this is one part of my yoga, and Srila Prabhupada says, no, a person who works very hard, no matter in what occupation, and who offers the results of the work to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna is called a karma yogi. No artificial pieces, right? Even many of the so-called yogis, they cannot control their sexual desires. So you can see that this is what is a devotee, a minimum qualification of a devotee, where I work, I offer everything in the service of the Lord. And that's what we should all look at every time we get to a point where, whatever is the benefit that we're getting from the material world, we should offer it to the Lord. Whosoever you may be, O beautiful girl, we are fortunate in being able to see you. While playing with a ball, you have agitated the minds of all onlookers. This is a topic that requires a bit of a discussion. I will not spend too much time, but I'll probably tell you how we should understand this. Right. So this topic has come up a few times in the past as well, wherein some Matajis do get hurt or do not feel comfortable, saying that, oh, why did you discuss this? In very, very simple way to put it, women's sports is condemned many times by our senior Vaishnavas, even by Srila Prabhupada, saying that men watch sports like tennis or a basketball where women are playing the women's basketball, women's tennis, because they get attracted to it. Not always because the sport is very nice. The women get to display their strength in the sport. Unlike a male, male in the olden days would do the sporting would be wrestling is the sport, swimming is the sport. It's not any of these modern day sports with the balls, right? So it's not necessarily these, but women are uh, promoted to participate in this because men want to relish them or enjoy them. This is how it is said. So does everyone do it? It is predominantly that. Okay. So these are all arrangements of demoniac nature. Okay. So are we encouraging? Are we discouraging? Spiritually speaking, we discourage these as much as possible. Right. So we try to avoid these things. Don't get too involved into these things, because end of the day, like I said, this this sex desire that is there, it's very difficult to give up. That's why I started the conversation. And every instance, we have these demoniac people in the society propagating this because they give fancy names saying that it is gender neutrality, gender equality. Oh, we are men and women are equal. No, women are wonderful. Women are mothers. They can do so much more and so easily get connected to the Lord. They are such wonderful caretakers of us. They have their specialty. They don't need to be equal to men. And that is fundamental, right? So does it mean that we actually discourage women for getting educated? But no, we do not. So that is where we get the whole thing wrong. People talk about Krishna consciousness, talk about all this, and they take it in a negative direction, or they try to sugarcoat this whole thing and say that what, men and women are equal. Let's agree to it because we are beyond the body. No, we are in this body as souls. We are beyond the body, but we are in this body, and in this body there are certain restrictions. It's nice if you could follow this. Okay, we will see that in further shlokas as well. Oh, beautiful women, when you strike the bouncing ball against the ground with your hands again and again, your lotus feet do not stay in one place. Oppressed by the weight of your full grown breast, your waist becomes fatigued and your clear vision grows dull, as it were. Pray braid your homely hair. So, you know what the men are looking at. If women do not understand this, it's unfortunate. The asuras, clouded in their understanding, took the evening twilight to be a beautiful woman showing herself in her alluring form, and they seized her. Okay, so asuras are this time of the day. It's very asuric in mentality. With a laugh full of deep significance, the worshipful Brahma then evolved by his own lovely which seemed to enjoy itself by itself, the host of Gandharvas and Apsaras. Let's move on to the other creatures. The Asuras are all done. They are enjoying as they are. So Brahmajan created the Gandharvas and Apsaras, so we know who they are. But here the mood is a little more sattvic. So out of his own loveliness, so he created these Gandharvas, who are actually the musicians of the higher planetary systems, and the Apsaras who are the dancers. After that, Brahma gave up that shining and beloved form of moonlight. Vishwavasu and other Gandharvas gladly took possession of it. So the other Gandharvas, so the moon is also come. So from the daytime all the way till the night is come. The glorious Brahma then evolved from his slot the ghosts and faints, but he closed his eyes when he saw them stand naked with their hair shattered. I think this word sloth actually means laziness. Out of his laziness, he creates this ghostly creature. So, Prabhupada actually mentioned these ghosts and hobgoblins, which are mentioned. These are not false. These are actually, they do have an existence. Okay, and they are not necessarily easy for us to understand who they are, because the hosts and hobgoblins took possession of the body thrown off in the form of yawning Vikrama. So, out of his laziness, he was yawning, and that's the form they took. How does it look? I don't know. Maybe I was one of those in the past, but no, I don't know. The creator of the living entity. This is also known as the sleep which causes drooling. There is a nice small part. The hobgoblins and ghosts attack men who are impure, and their attack is spoken of as insanity. Sometimes when people sleep, they drool, right? So there is saliva that comes out of their mouth, and it said that that is dirty, that causes, that place itself is very dirty, and those who drool while sleeping are considered unclean and are subject to be haunted by ghosts, and or to go insane, or they become mad. Right, so it is said like that for devotees. Many a times at our homes, when when we are sleeping, the Mahamantra is playing, so we should not be even worried about these things. But these are all mentioned in the Shastras. Recognizing himself to be full of desire and energy, the worshipful Brahma, the creator of the living entities, evolved from his own invisible form from his navel, the host of Sadhyas and Pitas. These are the Sadhyas and Pitas are um, forefathers, basically, right? So they took that form. The Pitas themselves took possession of the invisible form, the source of their existence, which is thought. It is through the medium of this invisible body that those well versed in the rituals offer oblations to the sadhyas and pitas in the form of their departed ancestors, or on the occasion of Shada ceremony. So one of the important things is Shada ceremony. One of the samskaras that we actually talk about. Not the yearly Shraddha ceremony. Basically, when the body lives, there's certain ceremonies that are done. Anyways, these basically the form is they're invisible. They are among us. They might stay in the Pitraloka depending on how their karma is. They will be also among us, like the ghosts and other pieces. Of course, they're just our forefathers. So there is occasion, there are ceremonies that are done. Srila Prabhupada tells that these are all required. But for a devotee, you don't need to be too worked up about this, right? So, because we are always in the service of the Lord, we are offering everything to our forefathers, to the Guru Parampara. We don't need to worry. The example, I think, comes up a little later. Okay. Basically, as we know, so the pinda that is offered, pinda is nothing but the food that is offered, the prasad that is offered to Lord Vishnu, and that is then offered to the forefathers. So they are given prasad so that it's taken care. Here the example is that I was just looking for this example. So the example of Prahlad Maharaj is given when our forefathers are not very, it could be our own parents who are not very favorable to Krishna consciousness. It's okay. You become a devotee. One of the best things you can ever do for your loved ones is you become a devotee. How does it help? Because the Lord promises in that 14 generations up, 7 generations down, they are taken care of. Their spiritual life is taken care of. At least the beginning of their spiritual life is guaranteed. Right? So you can see this is from the Prahlad Maharaj story, saying that his father was such a terrific demon, right? So Hiranyaksha. So he was Hiranyakashipu, sorry. So he was such a terrific demon that when Prahlad surrendered to Lord Narasimhadev promises him, saying that up to 14, generation forefathers are taken care of. So this is the best thing. I mean, someone actually came. One of my Bhakti Viksha member asked that, oh, you know what, my mother just passed away. What can I do for your mother? What can I do for my mother? So I've already done, offered bhoga to all the Vaishnavas. I mean, Sunday feast program. I'm giving some donation. I paid something in Gaya. I did this. I did that. What more can I do? Because I love my mother so much. I told her, Mataji, become a devotee. Your mother will definitely be taken care of. That's the best thing you can do for your forefathers. Then Lord Brahma, by his ability to be hidden from vision, created the Siddhas and Vidyadharas and gave them the wonderful form of his known as the Antardhana. Antardhana means that these living entities can be perceived to be present, but they cannot be seen by vision. Vidyadharas and Siddhas, no higher level of devotees, the sadhus, they become. One day, Brahma, the creator of the living entities, beheld his own reflection in water, and admiring himself, he evolved Kim Purushas as well as the Kinnaras out of his reflection, out of that reflection. So we have the Bhuloka, and then we have the Bhurloka. The Bhurloka is predominated by these Kim Purushas and Kinnaras. They look like humans, but they are from a higher planetary system. Their powers. So in simple words, We are humans, they are superhumans. They have a little more power than the human beings. The Kim Purushas and the Kinnaras took possession of that shadowy form left by Brahma. That is why they and their spouses sing his praise by recounting his exploits at even daybreak. So basically, these are they become devotees of Brahma because they have taken that. It talks about Brahma Muhurta and the good effects of actually doing spiritual activities in this Brahma Muhurta time. They are covering the entire day. Different people who come through the day. Once Brahma lay down with his body stretched at full length, he was very concerned that the work of creation has not proceeded at a pace, and in a slunken mode, he gave up that body. So, at various instances, Brahmaji's work is ensuring that the progeny happens, right? He has so many souls who have fallen, and they all have to get different bodies, and the creation is not happening at a pace that it should have. Oh dear Vidura, the hair that dropped from his body transformed into snakes, and even while that body crawled along with its hands and feet contracted, there sprung from its ferocious serpents and nagas with their hoods and expanded. So there are two kinds of serpents, right? So one is a single-headed serpent and one multi-headed naga. So all these comes from this particular body of Lord Brahma that he gave up, which in a very slunken, right? So he's not very happy. He's a very depressed mood. One day, the self-born Brahma, the first living creature, felt as if the object of his life had been accomplished. At that time, he evolved from his mind the Manus who promote the welfare activity of the universe. So if you remember the very first question of this chapter that was asked, what about the Manus? What did they do? How did they come? And Brahmaji says, Maitri Muni is explaining and he says, my dear Pitra, the Manus are coming. That is by the 50th shloka, 49th shloka. Here the Manus are born. Manu is the father of mankind, right? So that's Manu. The self-possessed creator gave up his own human form. On seeing Manu, those who had been created earlier, the demigods, the Gandharvas, and so on, applauded Brahma, the Lord of the universe. They knew Brahmaji's progeny's work is actually done. So they are all appreciating Brahma. Oh, Manu is a good creation. This human form of life can do a lot of good things. They prayed, oh, creator of the universe, we are glad what you have produced is well done. Since ritualistic acts have now been established soundly in this human form, we shall all share the sacrificial oblations. So, what is the duty of all these humans that Manu creates further on? The Manushyas, they have to do various type of sacrifices. The yagnas and the homas, yagnas basically the sacrifices. We always tell, so in the Bhagavad Gita, if you remember that it's Parasparam Bhavanta. So that third chapter, the shloka, it says the demigods and the humans have a Paraspara relationship. Why? Because your oblations, your sacrifices that you offer are the ones that are the food for the demigods, and because you please them, they in turn take care of you. So there are a lot of yagnas to do. So all these are given to Manushas. So Manu is the writer of Manu Samhita, or the rules and regulations which the human form of body should follow. Okay, having equipped himself with austere penance, adorations, mental concentration and absorption in devotion, accompanied by dispassion, and having controlled his senses, Brahma, the self-born living creature, evolved great sages as his beloved sons. Right? So then come the sages with all these qualities. First thing is they do not have passion, dispassionate. And then they are absorbed in devotion. They are able to follow penances, adorations, and so on. So that's there. And the typical explanation saying that gymnastics is not yoga. Different bodily poses, don't call them yoga. They are the precursor to yoga. Yoga is when you actually connect with the Supreme Lord. To each one of these sons, the unborn creator of the universe gave a part of his own body, which was characterized by deep meditation, mental concentration, supernatural power, austerity, adorations, and so on. So these are the different sons of Brahma who are getting different powers, and they are asked to follow different things, and some in combination of these things. So basically, all the demigods, higher planetary system, they are very happy because all the creation is done, and after Manushas are created, it could be the sages, it could be the normal human beings who have to follow through with Manu. They are happy because the sacrifices will happen. And uh, unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, that's very, very difficult. And here Srila Prabhupada mentioned saying that, we have to do sacrifices. We should also understand the four principles that we need to renounce. Dispassionate, we need to become, right? Illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. These are the things that we give up. And then these four principles are called tapasya, austerity, because following this in Kali Yuga is extremely difficult. We are exposed everywhere, right? So the very first point, illicit sex, I mean, wherever you go, you see things, you get attracted. And then suddenly you realize what we read earlier in the chapter, saying that I am getting attracted because the karma is in me. That object is just a piece of plastic, piece of paper, piece of whatever digital equipment. I am getting attracted to it because it is in me. I let go of it, then these things will not attract me anymore. For that, it's very, very, very important that we do the yagnas or the sacrifices properly. And what is that yagna that we should do? The Sankirtan yagna. Together, we should all chant the Hare Krishna mantra, saying Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When we do this thing very, very sincerely, and we follow the footsteps of our spiritual masters, we take their blessings, then we can avoid getting entangled by these things. So thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purpose, translations and purport. In this case, we read most of the translation purpose of the third canto, 20th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Conversation Between Maitreya and Vidura. So this conversation will continue. Next, we will see the conversation between Swayambhu Manu and Kardama Muni. And those are also very nice technical, because Swayambhu Manu is now, the Manu is created. So we will take the conversation from there. Okay, so I will stop here. We have a few minutes. If anyone has any comments, anyone wants to add anything to whatever I have said today on the secondary creation or Visarga. Possible?